Games 1 and 2 were played in St. Louis, but now the San Jose Sharks come back home. And boy, do they have some familiar faces here, gearing up and ready for a little Sharks hockey. That's right, Memphis may have Beale Street, but in San Jose, they've got Teal Street. Nothing wrong with the teal and black. They are here and ready for Game 3 as we welcome you in. It is Chronicle Live, presented by Farmers Insurance, and I am Jim Kozimor. Game 2, some would say a bloodbath. Very physical, no doubt. 132 penalties in minutes. Let's get a couple of guys who put the blades on and know a little bit about physical play. Mike Ricci joins us along. How about that? They love this guy. How about Jamie Baker, everybody? Let's hear it for Bakes. How physical was it at the end of Game 2? You played the game. Is that normal, what we saw in Game 2?
Yeah, I think it's normal. I think, that's the kind of stuff that happens. I don't think it'll have any bearing on what happens tonight. And, it is what it is. It's over with, and we look ahead to Game 3.
Who made that statement? The Sharks lose it 3-0, but who was trying to make a statement at the end of that game, Bakes?
I think both teams are going to try and make a statement all the time. And sometimes one of the statements is discipline, but there were a couple of instances where each team thought there were cheap shots against their own players, and if you see a team get a 2 or 3 goal lead, anything can kind of happen. So I think it's very emotional. There's a lot of passion out there, but if we've seen over the course of this weekend, sometimes your emotion can get the better of you. So I see it being physical to start Game 3, but I don't see it out of control.
I think it's going to be a lot of emotion inside that building. HP Pavilion's going to be rocking. The fans are going to be on top of their game. The players are going to be on top of their game. But all you need to know about what went on in the playoffs so far is that the road team is 11-8. The road team is getting the better of it. Why is the road team having such a good time so far in the playoffs?
Well, I think there's so much parity in the league. There's not much difference between the teams. So when you come home, you got to be even more prepared. You got to be ready. The other teams don't feel like they're at a disadvantage anymore. So for us, we just have to make sure we realize that and realize we got to come out with our best. I don't think the away team feels that that they're at a disadvantage anymore.
So was it enough just to get one game of the 2 that were in St. Louis for San Jose? Have they done their job already?
No, they haven't done their job because they haven't won 4 games. Was it enough? Well, they have to live with it, but preferably they had an opportunity to sweep. But we got to give the St. Louis Blues some credit. This is a really good hockey team. St. Louis tied this year with Detroit for the most points at home. So they are a very good team at home. They came out. They got some great goaltending in the second game. And, from San Jose's standpoint, they're not looking at saying, hey, we need to sweep the next 2 games at HP. They need to take care of Game 3 and take a 2-1 lead in this series.
Throughout the end of the regular season, a lot of people start talking about the production from the 3rd and 4th lines and how good they need to do in order for the Sharks team to play well. What about the top line, though? I'm looking at the first 2 games. I'm not seeing any points. And a minute ago, Jamie's pointing out that these guys against the Blues have not done well. Does the top line need to step up now?
Well, I think first of all, I hate to use the top and number the lines. I think all 4 lines are going to get significant ice time, and they all need to produce. I think each line has to know what their strengths are and just do it within the team system. I think as long as they play their game and play the way they can, we'll get enough production out of one of those 4 lines. I think you don't want to go in thinking, I need to score. You just need to prepare and say, do the things that you need to do to win the hockey game, and good things will happen.
Jamie, you've seen the 6 meetings between the Blues and the Sharks. What is it about the top line and who's matching up against them? What has slowed them down?
Well, I don't think the Sharks played some of their best hockey in the 4 games in the regular season. So we can talk about it, but this is a different season. I really like the way Thornton's played. I think he's been going up, and they've been going up head-to-head with the Backus, Oshie, and David Perron line, and they fared well. They got 1 goal the other night. I think it's partially they're in a defensive mode. Secondly, real good goaltending. And I think for the Sharks, if you want your top guys to pick up some points, they're also going to have to do it on the power play. They got 1 in the first game, but they were 0 for 4 in the second game.
All right, let's talk about the goalkeeping. I know that on the St. Louis side, they had 2 guys that they went back and forth with. Then Yaroslav Halak gets run over. They're going to go back to Elliott, and he's going to play in this game tonight. Let's go with the guy that the Sharks had between the nets, Antti Niemi. He's got his name on the chalice, so he knows what it's like to have a long playoff run. How much of this series really rides on that guy who's between the pipes right now?
Well, obviously goaltending is going to be, one of the most important parts of any playoff run. And, like you said, Anti's had his name on the cup. But the way I look at it, I've never seen a goalie work as hard, and the competitiveness and the talent that he has. So, for us, we feel very comfortable in what Anti's going to do out here in the next few games. And, I know they're comfortable in their goal. He's going with
Bakes said goals are going to be tough to come by, and you got to fight and scrap and claw for everyone because they're going to be important. Do you like the fact that the Sharks, and I'm going to reference something that you said in post-game live in the very last game of the regular season.
When you said, I don't mind going in as a 7. Explain what you meant by the Sharks going in that way.
Well, they're in a situation where they're in an underdog role, first of all. So you have to go, not starting at home, and they have to go on the road against a very good team. And I think the Sharks, this edition of the Sharks, throughout the course of this season, have played their best when their backs are up against the wall. Whether it was against the Boston Bruins, Philadelphia, like they seem to really step it up when it mattered most. And going in as a number 7 seed, they know that they're the underdog. They know that they were 0-4 against St. Louis. If they don't bring their A game, they're not going to win. And so I think it forces them. I mean, that takes away, I think, the one problem that they've fought all year is inconsistency. They know that there's no room to be inconsistent right now.
There might be a little counterintuitive. It might be counterintuitive to ask it this way, but in the past, the Sharks have been a 1, a 2, a 3 seed. They're right up there near the top. And when you have those labels, you're expected to go a long way. And the Sharks have gotten to the conference final the last 2 years. Is the pressure taken off if you're a 7? Can you? I'm not saying they're going to sneak up on anybody, but is that part of the attack plan? Is that you're a 7? You're maybe a little laid back at this point.
Well, I think at this point in time, I think both teams feel like they can win. They both feel the pressure. I think the exterior pressure, I think the media around the league doesn't really expect the 7 seed. They'll go with the underdog and the favorite, but I think our guys know that they put pressure on themselves to win, and I think they realize what St. Louis is feeling too, with the exterior pressure from all the media as being the favorite. So actually it's a great thing for our guys. I think our guys, they put pressure on themselves to win, and I don't think that's changed in any sense just because people around feel they're the underdog.
You mentioned how great the Blues have been at home. What has been the difference? What does Ken Hitchcock bring? They change coaches, and all of a sudden they're a different team. What is the difference with Ken Hitchcock as the coach?
Well, what he did, I think, immediately when he came in, is every detail mattered. I don't think the system is that much different, but right from the outset, every little back check, every angle, every stick position mattered, and he got everybody to buy in. And the thing is, I think the guys like Davis Payne, and it's not like they were playing terrible. So I think there was almost a bit of a guilt factor. There's a responsibility and an onus on the players. When a coach gets fired, they know that that's, from an organization standpoint, that's an easier move than getting rid of 10 players. So I think there was also a perfect timing. And then they got going and they started to believe in each other. And let's not kid ourselves, they've got phenomenal goaltending. And they're a very gritty, hard-working team.
Yeah, they do. All right, I'm going to ask you this as a player, because I glanced over it at the beginning. Vladimir Slobotka takes a shot at Dominic Moore and breaks his nose. That is a hard hit. That is something a lot of people think was a cheap shot late in the game. Does there have to be a response? Somebody dropped the gloves early on the Shark side to set a tone on the Blues saying, we're not going to let you do that kind of stuff to us.
Well, I think, that what happened in Game 2 is that you can't worry about that. You got to take advantage of what the opportunity is in front of us, and that's to try and win Game 3. Obviously, what's happened there is probably not forgotten, but we have to go out and play to win the game and play physical and not just go after one guy. We need to play a clean, hard, physical hockey game and compete with them, and that'll be enough, I think, for retribution.
Do you have a thought on what Slobotka did to Moore in the end of that game? Do you retaliate in this game in some way, shape, or form, or do you just play the game of hockey?
Yeah, you retaliate on the scoreboard. You go win where it matters most, on the scoreboard. That's what you do. You know what? There's going to be different things over the course of the games in a series. The teams have a major dislike. We're seeing it throughout the playoffs. It's exciting. It's edge-of-the-seat hockey. But this isn't about who the toughest team is. This is about the team that wins 4 games. That's it. When you get to shake hands at the end of the series, Moore can shake Slobotka's hand and say, have a good summer. Great series. That's the retribution. That's the payback. Now, does that mean that it's not going to get physical, that there won't be some fights? There could be, but it's not, fist for fist, fight for fight. I mean, this is a whole different game right now, and you got to let the emotion of that one go and see what happens on this one.
All right, Jamie, thanks very much. We'll get more of you on pregame live and postgame live. Mike Ricci, graduate of St. Maximilian Kolb Catholic School in Scarborough, Ontario, one of the great saints of our time. Thanks for joining us. Go get him, buddy.
Thank you.
Good to see you. That's Mike Ricci.